There are plenty of analog horror series out there, ranging from eerie backrooms, unsettling animatronics, and doppelgangers, to alien invasions and even a deadly moon that can kill you just by looking at it. I love analog horror. I love its hidden, disturbing plots that make you obsess over figuring out what's truly happening in those alternate realities. So today, to kick off the channel, I'm bringing you one of the most captivating series from this genre that I've come across. With a complete first season and the second just getting started, I'll be analyzing and explaining all the available content so far. Without further ado, I present to you Vita Carnis. Created by Darian Quilloy's channel, Vita Carnis tells the story of an alternate reality. In this reality, mysterious beings known by the same name have appeared. If we translate it from Latin, it means something like life of flesh. These creatures are made of flesh with no skin, and they mysteriously appeared in 1931. Since then, they've been spreading across the planet, altering not just nature, but also the way humans interact with their environment. As the tape says, the Earth is now their home. Think of them as a grotesque addition to the food chain. But where did they come from? According to the tape, this has been a heavily debated question since their first appearance. Do they come from space? A demonic dimension? No. Despite not knowing how or why, one thing is certain beyond a shadow of a doubt. Their origin is right here on our planet. The first video in the series introduces us to these beings. Naturally, this is classified material, and there are severe consequences for unauthorized individuals possessing these tapes. From this, we can infer that the initial videos are not directed at us, but at the employees of the National Living Meat Research, whose goal seems to be the study of these creatures. I'll be going into detail about each of them shortly, but first, what is generally known about them? We know they are made up of muscles, bones, and organs, skinless beings resembling raw meat, which is why they were named Vita Carnis. They feed on almost anything, primarily meat, including human flesh, but they do not engage in cannibalism. That is, they don't eat each other and are usually found in areas populated by crawls. The crawl is the first species and the foundation of the entire Vita Carnis ecosystem, serving as the root of everything. This entity resembles a vine made of flesh, spreading across the land like a biological mold and can be found all over the world. The crawl grows like a plant, using photosynthesis to thrive, and its dark red tendrils burrow into the ground to absorb nutrients. The most astonishing thing about the crawl is that it doesn't just nourish itself, but everything around it. In fact, it plays a symbiotic role in the ecosystem, enriching the soil with decomposing matter, helping plant life to flourish, and becoming a super fertilizer for the vegetation. More plants feed more herbivores attract more predators, and the waste produced is consumed by the crawls, creating a perfect cycle within the ecosystem. It has even been used by humans for agriculture, but you probably wouldn't want to eat it because, well, it tastes as bad as it looks. That's right, this alien-looking organism is a force of life, not death. Well, more or less. One thing to note is that if you pay close attention throughout these videos, you can spot quick flashes of images. The first seems to be a newspaper cover showing a radio tower infested by crawls. There's also another strange frame that seems to be hinting at a story, but we'll get into that later. Now things start to get weirder. Everything seemed fine until now, but the problem begins when the previously mentioned flesh tendrils develop a lump. When this lump detaches, it forms, as far as we know, the other 7 species of Vita Carnis, most of which are dangerous. The first and most common species to form after detaching from the crawl are the Trimmings. Imagine a hairless, skinless raccoon, just raw flesh. These creatures are small, about the size of a basketball at most. Each trimming is unique, with varying numbers of limbs or other characteristics. Although they're omnivorous, trimmings are almost entirely scavengers, They roam around, eating anything decayed, plants, fruit, rotting meat, you name it. The good news is they're harmless and very skittish, so despite their terrifying appearance, they pose no threat to you, unless you are bothered by them raiding your trash at night. Oh, and they're also very loud. They're preyed upon by many predators, and you'd think their population would be low, but no. The crawls keep producing more and more, making them abundant worldwide. People often see them as a pest, but some have even kept them as pets. Yes, you heard that right. I guess you need a strong stomach for that. During this explanation, we get more flashes. In one, we're told that over 400 trimmings were found under an abandoned satellite dish. Similar to the newspaper clipping we saw earlier about the crawls, it seems these creatures are drawn to our electronic and communication devices like antennas. But for what purpose? Next up are the meat snakes, which are also harmless. They're a species of giant snake made entirely of raw muscle tissue, encased in a transparent membrane. When they first emerge from the crawls, they're tiny, but they can grow to an average of 5 meters in length, depending on their diet. And what do they eat? Corpses. Yes, they're scavengers that only consume dead bodies. They use their long, sensor-covered tongues to sniff out decaying flesh, and once they find it, swallow the body whole, breaking it down and incorporating the bones and tissues into their own form. It's grim, but they're actually quite useful. Meat snakes don't get sick because their digestive chemicals preserve the meat. And get this, humans use them to dispose of waste in butcher shops and even on battlefields. They're harmless to living beings, so much so that people have domesticated them for practical use. Nature's cleanup crew, so to speak. There's also a newspaper clipping that shows the largest meat snake ever recorded found in an underground tunnel. It was a staggering 40 meters long. It's suspected that this was the result of the activities of a cult we'll learn more about soon. The fourth creature is called the Mimic, and it's by far the most dangerous of all the Vita Carnis creatures, at least for us. Mimics are humanoid creatures with grotesquely long limbs, bulging eyes, and a terrifying permanent grin full of sharp teeth. Their diet? Human flesh. Yes, these things hunt us. They start small, but as they feed on other species, they grow and transform into the horrifying creature described earlier, becoming better hunters. An adult mimic learns to camouflage in human environments by wearing clothes or hiding as mannequins, and from this point on, they only consume human meat. They stalk their prey, learn their routines, and attack when their victim is most vulnerable, usually at night or while they're sleeping.
Executed immediately begin consumption.
If well fed, they can evolve into one of two variants. They can become more human-like, turning into even more efficient predators, or they can become super predators with even more grotesque features, growing stronger and more resilient. The government has even issued survival guides on how to avoid them. Some tips include: avoid going out alone if there have been mimic sightings nearby. If you encounter one that hasn't noticed you yet, quietly leave the area and call the authorities. If you have a clear escape route, mimics rarely attack. If cornered, assume a fetal position, protecting vital organs to minimize injury. Scream to alert others for help. Few weapons are effective against mimics, so the best way to protect yourself is to use a weapon to block their attacks. Hiding in low places, like under a bed, is surprisingly effective. One positive thing is that a mimic won't spend too long searching for its prey. Then there's the harvester, a stationary but deadly creature. It resembles a giant carnivorous plant, standing about 2 meters tall. It also has roots that extend up to 150 meters away. Its method of hunting involves setting traps, leaving its open maw exposed. If it catches a victim, it injects 2 types of venom: a neurotoxin that immobilizes the victim, and an anticoagulant that prevents blood cells from clotting, essentially making you bleed out. The harvester slowly drains the blood while pulling the body underground. This thing doesn't go after small animals, it seeks large prey. Once it's fed, the area becomes unusually lush, attracting more victims. It only resides in the northern hemisphere. If the creature injects you, there's no way to survive. No antidote exists. Just like what happened to an entire family while hiking in the woods. Warnings are posted in areas where these creatures live. But if you accidentally step into one of their traps, throw an object to distract the tendrils and escape calmly without running. Next is the host of influence, a semi-humanoid creature that only resides in North America, covered in muscle tissue and tendrils that release deadly spores into the air. Those spores infect anyone who breathes them in, causing a change in behavior. The infected will begin to walk slowly toward the host, and once they reach it, they expose their organs, and the host devours them. This entire process takes about 6 to 7 hours after inhalation. At first, the victim feels nothing, but over time, they'll experience symptoms like dizziness, confusion, or motor discoordination, leading to the outcome I just described. However, there is a way to save them. If the infected person is prevented from reaching the host within 36 hours or receives medical attention, the effects of the disease will disappear. The second to last registered Vita Carnis creatures are the monoliths, towering giants standing 120 meters tall. These colossal beings don't do much, as they are completely rooted to the ground, except when provoked. If you get too close, they unleash an electromagnetic pulse that wipes out any nearby electronic devices. Despite military attempts to destroy them, they regenerate almost instantly. These entities appeared in 1972, and there are only 7 of them, arranged in a circle with a diameter of 1.5 kilometers, surrounding something that has been censored from the public. Their exact location is also classified. The monoliths are composed of thousands of fleshy fibers that extend up to their necks, where they merge into a solid, triangular mass with a hole in the center. Where their arms should be, there are only hundreds of tentacles that stretch down to the ground. After the attack I mentioned, the surrounding area was sealed off, and access is strictly prohibited. For now, the monoliths remain dormant, and the reason behind their behavior is a complete mystery. Lastly, we should be told about the final Vita Carnis creature, but for some reason most of the information is withheld. Its name is the Singularity, a creature resembling an orb that floats in the air, emitting strange energy patterns. It's an enigma, and as I said before, most details about this being are concealed by the government, leaving us with more questions than answers for now. And with this, the explanatory videos from the National Living Meat Research come to an end. The following video is a cooking tutorial featuring crawl meat. Who in their right mind would want to eat this thing? We also learned that they've created some kind of seasoning to improve the taste of the meat. This video might have gone unnoticed if it weren't for a couple of things. First, there's this, a wanted poster for Vincent Barrere, a man sought by the CSIS. And finally, we have this other image where we can see some sort of investigation board. In the center, we see the words, "Who are they?" Don't forget this image, it will be important later. The next tape shows us how to take care of our pet Trimming. Yes, people actually have these creatures as pets, and it's totally real. In any case, they're fairly easy to take care of. Trimmings are quite resilient to both low and high temperatures, so you don't need to worry about that. They can sleep in a box with blankets, and they eat your garbage. To prevent their nighttime screaming, you should give them their first meal of the day late in the morning or in the afternoon. This won't stop them from screaming, but it will keep them active during those hours, so you can sleep peacefully. Unless, of course, a mimic notices your presence and decides to devour you. Trimmings are also very social creatures. If your neighbors have more trimmings, you can let them play together. And for some reason, they seem to enjoy watching TV and listening to the radio. In 1945, while post-war cleanup teams were clearing an underground tunnel, they came across something grotesque, an entire tunnel filled with a mass of flesh. At the center of this wall of meat were skulls, with a large opening in the middle. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be an enormous meat snake completely blocking the tunnel. Sound familiar? This meat snake was unlike any other. Its deep garnet color contrasted sharply with the usual bright reds and browns of typical meat snakes. What was even more unsettling was that the snake barely moved, almost behaving like a plant, completely still with only minor internal movements. It seemed to have even lost its basic motor functions. Here's the real mystery. How did this meat snake grow so large, and how did it end up lodged so deep in the tunnel? The second team found the other end of the snake near a massive pile of corpses. I think we can all see where this is going. Tests conducted on the snake's skin revealed incredible resilience. It could withstand extreme temperatures, both cold and heat, and even radiation. And the strangest part, its smell. Instead of the expected stench of decay, the meat snake emitted a pleasant aroma, almost like cooking scrambled eggs. It took several days of cutting to get a sample for testing, which highlights its extraordinary toughness. Once again, the strange part is its immense size, likely due to the massive pile of corpses we see behind the snake. Could this have something to do with the cult? And who is this man appearing in a single frame in this video? By 1986, an emergency message was issued on how to defend yourself against a mimic, all due to a significant increase in attacks by these beings on a global scale. First, the video re-explains how mimics hunt and how we can protect ourselves from them. They can even enter small spaces, waiting for the right moment to attack their victim. Remember, they can mimic a person's appearance and wear clothes, making them highly adapted predators among us. However, you can spot them by the characteristics of their faces. You should also pay attention to their hands, as mimics do not have nails. In the initial description of mimics, we were told that using weapons was not recommended due to their immense resilience. Well, due to this emergency situation, tactics were developed to combat them. Similar to some animals, trying to appear larger and making noise can be effective. If you have weapons, aim for the head or legs. This will immobilize them and give you some time to escape. The next video is recovered and found footage. A couple goes out for a nighttime walk to head to a location related to an incident that left a body mutilated by some strange creature and is being covered up. They manage to reach the spot but find nothing. Here, the guy explains the case in front of the camera. This is classified as confidential. Finally, they decide to leave the area, but suddenly the guy disappears. Here is the video.
Chris? Where are you? Chris! Come on! This isn't funny! Chris! I just want to go home, come on! Fine, I guess I'm going home without you. I'm cold, tired, and hungry. If you want to stay out here and play games, you can. are you doing? Because this isn't funny. Oh! God!
In 1989, records of anomalies in harvesters were taken, along with a map showing their locations in Canada on August 1st, where their density was extremely high. Later, we are shown a photograph of a family, two of whose members would meet a tragic fate. First, we see one of the children separating from the group, only to fall into one of the harvester's traps. Shortly after, the mother finds her child and, unfortunately, in her attempt to help, she also falls into another trap. If we keep analyzing the maps, we can see that by September 1st, the harvesters begin moving north, something unusual. By observing the map from October 1st, we see they've advanced even further, appearing to form a circular pattern, as if for some reason they're drawn to this particular place. Remember that strange seasoning used to improve the taste of the meat? Well, it was made from the spores of the host of influence. In other words, the people behind this product are getting people to sprinkle it on their food, so they end up dying in the clutches of one of these creatures. But for what purpose? This product gained immense popularity, with its commercials increasing over time. But as we know, this was all a ploy to bring people under the mind control of a host, as evidenced in later commercials. This company is plotting something truly diabolical, and it's working. Millions of people have already fallen into the trap. After a while, they didn't even bother making good commercials anymore. They had already achieved their goal. However, there were still people willing to stop these things, gathering countless pieces of evidence, as seen in the next tape, where the issues caused by this seasoning are highlighted. This video reveals something else important. The people responsible for all of this. That cult which seemingly worships the Vita Carnis. Their logo is a triangle almost identical to that of the Nutrier Corporation, the company responsible for manufacturing the seasoning, which leads us to believe that this company is run by them. It makes sense, right? It explains why they use the spores of the host. But again, for what purpose? What is the cult's ultimate goal? To destroy humanity? To awaken something? And who is sending all this information to the organization Carcass? And what exactly is Carcass? Carcass stands for the Containment and Research Consult Association Society, a private organization that serves as humanity's resistance against the Vita Carnis. Carcass's main objective is to contain and study the properties of the Carnis genus in order to better understand its origin, behaviors, and motives. It also works to expose the government's cover-ups regarding these creatures. As for who is providing them with all the information regarding the cult, well, in the next video we get our answer. The informant records their room, showing an investigation board with all the evidence they've gathered. The investigator revealed newspaper clippings about dead scientists, documentaries made by teenagers about Vita Carnis, which are the videos we analyzed at the beginning, and sightings of cult sites. The message was successfully received, and Carcass sprang into action. With the information acquired, they knew exactly where they needed to go. This led to the deployment of 3 special operations teams into the restricted zone around the monoliths to stop the cult's main ritual. Here's the video.
3 ground teams are tasked with infiltrating a previously abandoned mall titled Facility 0, which is located in the restricted zone based on our info. The mission will take place in 3 stages: infiltration, encirclement, and ambush. Primary objective is to capture the facility and seize the items of interest for extraction. Numerous armed guards are located within the facility. Avoid detection and keep up your guard.
Alpha team, in position.
Beta team, in position.
Gamma team, in position.
Copy. Beginning phase 1.
Eyes on the point. Clearing pathway now. Pathway cleared. Give it the green light.
Copy. Green light is a go. Begin phase 2 in advance.
Alpha team, copy. Beginning advance. All right, we're heading out. Move, move, move!
position, awaiting green light.
Eyes are secure. Turning blind. Lights green.
Copy. Green light is a go. Begin phase 2 in advance.
Team in position. We are experiencing mechanical interference. Should we resume? Copy. Phase 3 is still a go. Preparing for breach.
Breach in 3, 2, 1. Breach.
Get down! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Get down! Get down! Put down your weapon! Get down! Put down your weapon! Put your hands up! Get down! I said get down!
The tape ends abruptly, and for now, we don't know if Carcass succeeded in their mission or not. And with this, the first season concludes, but the story doesn't end here. The teaser for the second season hints that the monoliths will have a more prominent role, and we learn that Carcass's mission was a complete success. The first video of the second season begins with the news of the arrest of a large group of high-ranking cultists in the restricted zone. Military personnel were involved in detaining these individuals, and what's surprising is that many turned out to be well-known politicians and high-ranking government officials. The documents reveal serious crimes, such as murder, kidnappings, and ritual sacrifices. As we mentioned earlier, the Neutrar company was closely linked to the cult, and it was shut down with its products deemed dangerous. Public opinion is in an uproar, demanding action in response to the chaos caused by these events. More things began to unfold. People no longer wanted to eat Vita Carnis meat. Other cults started appearing. Demands were made for the total control or extermination of the mimics, and strikes were initiated, demanding accountability from governments for allowing things to escalate this far. Some even began talking about a new world order. Next, we see that Carcass Facilities began studying the singularities, showing incredible results despite still knowing very little about them. There are 7 in total, each one a meter in diameter, made of an unknown material resembling crystal, with swirling lights inside, predominantly red. Scientists who conducted tests on these entities detected unusual energy pulses, but were unsure if they were alive or trying to communicate. The tests revealed minimal results, except for interference with electronic devices when more than one singularity was nearby. One of the most chilling moments of the video occurs when the researchers place a live cow in the chamber with one of the singularities, labeled B1. After minimal results from the live test, they used a cow carcass, which, after a couple of hours, was consumed, leading to a massive, rapid growth of the crawl. A scientist suggested that this upends everything we previously knew about the Vita Carnis species. The video delves into experiments with crawl specimens, cultivated under various environmental conditions, with radio signals causing abnormal growth patterns. Other species, such as trimmings, meat snakes, and mimics, were successfully born and transferred to enclosures, spurring new research on these life forms. The team made significant advances in understanding the social behaviors of these creatures, particularly the trimmings, which communicate through vocal and physical signals like chirps and mouth movements. One interesting experiment demonstrated how trimmings responded to positive and negative acoustic signals, associating sounds with rewards or punishments. This reinforced how intelligent and social these creatures are. Later, the researchers conducted an unusual experiment, linking their captive colony of trimmings with a wild colony via a radio device, further expanding our understanding of their communication capabilities. It seems like some kind of hive mind. The singularities, on the other hand, might be the origin of all Vita Carnis. From the singularity comes the crawl, and from the crawl, everything else. Now let's dive into the latest video available, Revealed Progress. The video starts with what seems to be a beauty pageant for trimmings, I suppose. Yes, it sounds absurd. Then it shifts to the reports of Dr. Asram Griffiths, a specialist in meat snakes. Dr. Griffiths updates the audio log on the progress of the project. The meat snake shown in the video was raised in captivity until it reached maturity. Throughout its development, the research team fed it meat, including bones and organs, to help it grow. Over the course of 21 days, the research documents how the snake's behavior changes from aggressive to patient, and how its physical attributes evolve, such as the color and texture of its skin. Around day 21, something unexpected happens. The meat snake undergoes mitosis, splitting into 2 identical creatures. The escape causes the research to pause temporarily, but both organisms are recaptured and returned to their enclosure. The second half of the video dives into an audio report from Dr. Farron Bronas, analyzing the hunting behaviors of the mimics. We see mimics being raised in captivity, and when they reach adulthood, they refuse food. As we know, they only consume human flesh at this stage, leading to their eventual death from starvation. Next, we're informed that the best specimens were those captured in the wild. They lasted longer because they already had food and nutrients inside them. Several adult mimics were brought in, one of which was humanoid. One of the most shocking revelations from this tape is that the information we originally had about mimics was incredibly basic, and since their first appearance, all interpretations of their patterns have been wrong in one way or another. They keep changing. In reality, it's almost completely random. Dr. Bronas seems determined to go further to fully understand these creatures. Finally, we see a recording from 1992 about an incident involving the V1 singularity. Here's the footage.
What happened?
My leg's tied. It's bad. It's bad. I'm bleeding.
What do I do?
I can't reach.
What do I do?
Help me down, please. Please.
We need medical assistance in test chamber 1.
Oh, God.
Stay calm. Help is on the way. Just try to stay
Damn
calm.
it. Oh, God. Oh. Oh. Oh.
we're here, we're going to help you. Lower the ladder slowly. This is going to hurt. Okay, hold still. Ready? Now!
What's happening? What's happening to him? Get him out of here now! Get him out!
What happened to the people present there? Why did the singularity react this way? Let's remember that the man was bleeding. Could that have been the reason? Was it reacting to the blood? It seems that singularities respond to the pain and agony of other creatures. What do you think? Before we wrap up, let's look at something hidden within nearly all of the episodes of this analog horror series: secret images. These images tell a story, which goes like this. Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom, there was a royal family gifted with magic. They traveled far and wide by land and sea, discovering new places and gaining knowledge. On one of these expeditions, a fierce storm struck the ship they were on, casting the prince overboard. After drifting for some time, the young prince was washed up onto an island. Wounded, he sought refuge in a nearby cave and used all his magic to enter a healing slumber. This sleep lasted for a long time, and during that time the land around him changed and grew, becoming unrecognizable. The cave protected the prince as the outside world transformed. In an era of hardship, the island's inhabitants, small creatures, struggled to find food. One day, while searching for sustenance in the forest, they found the sleeping prince. They were awestruck by his magic, noticing objects floating around him. They wondered who this being was, and if he could pose a danger. Some thought the prince might be able to help them with his magic, perhaps growing food or curing illnesses. Though most creatures thought it was too risky, a few decided to help him in secret. They gave him the little food they had, accelerating his recovery. One day, thanks to their aid, the prince finally awoke. Startled by his awakening, the creatures hid, but one brave little creature stepped forward, extending a hand in friendship. The prince reciprocated, forming a bond that would change his fate. The creatures guided the prince out of the cave and led him to the top of a hill, showing him the forest, their home, full of wonder yet unable to sustain them. They asked for his help, and the prince, raising his arms, summoned a bright light filled with mystical shapes and colors. The creatures watched in awe as the prince finished his work, promising that with his power and the aid of his kingdom, he would improve their land. The prince gathered everything he could and set sail to return home. Once he returns, he promised he would come back to the island with his kingdom's help and reunite with the creatures. That's the end of the story for now, and there are a lot of theories floating around the internet. Is this about Earth's consciousness? A sleeping god? What truth does the prince's story hide? Let me know your craziest theories in the comments section. This is all the content we have so far. The main cult has been stopped, the Vita Carnis are being studied more closely, and who knows what the future holds. Bit by bit, the pieces of this puzzle are coming together. Here on this channel, we'll document everything that comes out until the very end. This is my first video on YouTube, so if you enjoy my content and find it entertaining, I'd really appreciate your precious like and a subscription to help the channel grow and reach more people. Every like is one more coin to escape poverty. I have a Fiverr profile where I create high-quality music with artificial intelligence for your projects. Like my voice. Wait, what?